It's 7:10 on a Saturday. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television, and you are watching First Warning Live, a special edition First Warning Live where we're focused on the winter storm warning, what you can expect locally, because that's the key. We've heard a lot about what's going on around the country and why it's having an effect with air travel and all the rest. But we want to focus here locally, and we're going to do that over the next few minutes, so we're very happy that you're here. I can tell you the winter storm warning affects a good part of our viewing area in the traditional TV sense, but this runs till 7 p.m. Sunday. It does not include Elizabeth City, but it does include Ahoskie. It does include Virginia Beach, but not Duck. And you might say, well, why aren't we in it? Because it's mainly rain in the non-purple colored areas, right? So the counties that are not colored have less to be concerned about. But Exmoor, Williamsburg, Gloucester, Franklin, all of us in between, Norfolk, are all under a winter storm warning. So really, I think the story so far has been the cold. Could anybody disagree with that? I mean, so far, you woke up this morning, it felt like 6 in Norfolk at 8 o'clock. It's 20 degrees colder now at 7 o'clock than it was, say, 7 o'clock last night. It's about 21 degrees colder, Elizabeth City, about 19 degrees colder in Newport News. It's just, welcome to the Arctic. Welcome to the Arctic. Right now, you look at this and say, it's 23. It was 21 this morning. But if I told you the high was 38, no way. Was it 38? It was. 12:01 in the morning. And see, the Weather Service has this thing they do. They try and figure out what's the 24-hour maximum. So the maximum temperature was 38 at 12:01. And then it just kind of fell down. And those winds, when I drove home from work last night, I had the 40-mile-an-hour winds. I was like holding on 2 hands on the steering wheel. But I digress. It's 23 right now in Hampton, 23 in Chesapeake. Right now we've got Suffolk in the low 20s, Moyock 25, 32 though. Actual temperature in Nags Head. So we take this full screen. This is where we stand, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like 11, feels like 15 in Suffolk. And Currituck feels like 13 in Melfa, 20 in Gloucester. If you're on the call, this would be a great time to say hi to you because we're going to talk about the storm itself. Right now we have maybe a few flurries over the eastern shore. I mean, some of that's probably evaporating before it reaches the ground. But I think this will get a little bit kick-started by the time we hit 9, 10 o'clock tonight, and we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. But I want to come back on camera because it's not all doom and gloom, right? We've been hearing about this storm. I've been hearing, you've been hearing, fill in the blank. I heard we're getting fill in the blank. I heard, no, we're getting such and such, fill in the blank. And they've been outrageously high numbers in terms of snowfall. I don't have to put a number on it. You probably know what you heard. But I'm here to kind of set the record straight. We do First Warning Live for Monday through Thursday for purposes of getting people prepared so that weather doesn't surprise you. So our First Warning weather team coverage working tonight and through the weekend to make sure that you are safe. We do know that there'll be different experiences further west where there'll be more icing and more snow perhaps further north of Norfolk. That's our expectation. That hasn't changed. Now, in light of all that, let me get back to the maps here. The satellite radar is showing again some flakes, but if you look to the west, it would appear that East Tennessee, where I lived for 15 years, they're getting the lion's share of the mess. Well, how do I know that? Well, just look at this. It extends into northern Alabama. They're getting some sleet. They're getting some sleet in Mississippi. I'm sure they handle that well, Aldrich. No, they probably don't, right? Mississippi in winter probably they don't go together, like it's oil and vinegar. They don't go well together. Knoxville looks like they're getting a combination of freezing rain, sleet, probably just a cold mess. A cold mess in Knox Vegas, as they call Knox Vegas, Knoxville. It's messy. Oh, yeah, and it's snowing in Kentucky. Looks like snow showers around Somerset, Bristol, Virginia getting some snow, and maybe extending into southern West Virginia. Certainly snowing, and maybe a mix around Asheville in western North Carolina, and that's headed this direction. So if you want the canary in the coal mine, look no further right now than East Tennessee. You didn't know that East Tennessee's weather's coming here, but it is. And it's messy around Maryville, Sevierville, Maynardville. You tell me what you got. Leave me a comment. We'd love to hear it. Because right now we come back here and it's just cold and cloudy. And we're just waiting for that snow that's between Roanoke and Blackstone to head in this direction. Got a couple of comments from you. This one's a beauty. I always appreciate the feedback, because part of this is having a conversation with those who want to have a conversation. This was left on the 23rd of January, which was yesterday, from a friend that I don't know. His name is David Marshall. He said he's so excited. It's funny. So excited for the 6+ inches of snow in Virginia Beach, but I think jokingly, he says, I'll take whatever we can get. Great job and great first name. Yeah, David and David. Now, I would joke right back at you, David. You know, I can take a joke. I hope that you're not this guy. Say no to this picture, please. What am I talking about? This one. Please say no. Please tell me you didn't load up on bread and milk. Surely there's something better at the grocery store than just bread and milk. That's a lot of toilet paper, too. But I digress. You could pull my leg, I could pull yours. Please don't do that. And some of you were doing that to your discredit on Dr. King Day, because you heard this lofty snow total. And everybody started to panic. And boy, all the de-icers and sleds and all that stuff flew off the shelves. For what purpose? Maybe if you go to Richmond, you can make use of it, right? They will have enough snow that you might want to sled there. Get in the car if you dare do it. But again, I know that Team Snow is disappointed that we're not getting the big snowstorm here in Norfolk or Virginia Beach. Some of you will be disappointed, but that's just the way it goes. This is what I'm expecting. Delay it no further, Aldrich, a trace to 2 inches. 2 inches is generous. Most of us are going to be a trace. And if you're not sure what a trace is, have you ever had dandruff? I'll confess, as a kid, I had dandruff. It was like a little bit of flakage, little flakes on my shirt. And so the kid, elementary, middle school, like they're like, what is that? What is that? So then you know what a trace is. You can't measure it, but you see it, right? We're back to that square one. Are we going to get some snow, or are we going to see some snow? You got some snow on February 19th. We're coming up on that 1-year anniversary to the 10.2-inch snow that hit Norfolk International February 19th, 2025. This is not that. This is not even close to that, not locally, because we're focused locally tonight. I know it's in East Tennessee a moment ago, but that's coming here. It had a purpose to connect the dots. 2 to 4 may fall from Williamsburg back just north of Emporia, but it's just flakes or flurries, nuisance flakes for Ahoskie, Elizabeth City. This is just not a big snow story. And if you think that snow is going to be around tomorrow morning, I don't think so. And given the fact that it feels like 11 degrees, would you put your kids on a sled outside in this weather? I hope not. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, think about that, right? That was another thing I was trying to articulate earlier this week. That do you really want to go outside when it's this cold? But this is just one small piece of the pie. We've got about an inch now. It was 1.5 inches. It's about an inch now of liquid that's going to fall from the sky, future tense. And how we divvy up that inch will be what we get ultimately in our neighborhoods. They're going to vary. It's going to vary quite a bit. So I'm going to move past the snow for a moment and show you the other element, the other piece of the pie. It's the ice. Mainly sleet, but some freezing rain in Gloucester that could total up 1 inch. How about Emporia? Could total up 1 inch. How about Wakefield? Could quarter up about maybe 3/4 of an inch. But if you're west of Norfolk, this is not going to be a huge deal. That's not to say you couldn't get some icy pellets in Chesapeake. You could. I suspect you will. But it may not amount to measurement land. That's why it's 0. Might be a trace of icy pellets for Currituck or Virginia Beach. But it's more favored west of Suffolk. That way you can help prepare yourself. And it's all going to wash down the sewer drain. I mentioned we're working from a pie of about 1 inch now. This was generally about 1.5 yesterday. So the big news today is that we've dropped to about less than 1 inch or around 1 inch of possible water. Now this is just one model. If you take a blend of the two, now the latest Euro is 1.3. It's about 1 inch. It's dropped, probably about 32% less water to work with. That means less rain, less ice, less snow, less freezing rain, less. Okay? And again, if you had that intel on Dr. King Day, you wouldn't have known or wouldn't have said, you wouldn't have hyped it up. We never hyped it up because we just said, hey, I love to forecast the weather. I don't like having to be the guy who has to put the fires out online. That's not true. That's crazy talk. That's a bunch of nonsense. I don't like doing that. That's not fun for me. I might be eating a Marco's pizza and somebody says, hey, I get a text. Are we going to get 20 inches of snow? And I'm like, oh, good grief. I have to put those fires out. So it's irresponsible if you're in the weather community and you do that, but it's even more irresponsible for you, the viewer, to clickbait on it and buy some sleds, buy some de-icers 6 days before an event. Don't do that. There may be other events. As soon as this is gone, I'm sure the GFS model will throw out another model to get people all excited, and people will buy into it. I heard this, I heard that. Let's just stay in the here and now. Until we're within 3 days of an event, it's really hard to put or peg what we're going to get. And I can tell you this, we're going to get a potpourri of precipitation. All 4 of these items will be up for bid tonight through tomorrow morning. Now, for those snow fans, I don't mean to discount the fact that you love snow. I do too. I spent 4 years in Rochester, New York, where we get 100 inches of snow a year up there. You live by Lake Ontario, you're going to get the snow that Lake Ontario is going to yield. And it all depends on the temperature. When it was really cold in Rochester, you get 20-to-1 ratios. We're not that. Maybe you'd say, oh, we're going to get 10-to-1, we're going to get 50. Well, we're past that. We've got 1 inch of liquid, and it's not all snow. That's why those lofty, crazy totals of 10, 15, 20 inches of snow people thought they were getting. Do you know how much Norfolk's had? So far this season, 1 inch. 1 inch. That means if we got more than 0.8 at the airport, let's say we get less than 0.8, let's say we get 0.5, that means December 8th would have been the snowier day. We got 0.2 on Veterans Day in the pre-dawn hours. We got 0.8. And really, to be fair, Virginia Beach had 2 inches on the 8th of December. I'm just bringing this into context because I think it's important you understand that not all events are equal. We don't have an inch to show for it, but I do know on the 8th of December, places like Williamsburg and Yorktown, they had, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. They had quite a bit of snow back on the 8th day of December last year. So let's just play this game. I know some people are like, oh, well, you could be wrong. Well, who's to say you're right and someone else is wrong? I'm just showing you the data. This is the latest model, 0.3. That's a 0.3. That's the flakage I'm talking about. This is really not a snow issue on this model. But there are other models, right? There's as many models as there are breakfast cereals at the grocery store. So let's go to the next model. This is the one the National Weather Service loves. It's an American model, Global Forecast System model. It says 0.6. Interesting, this is the model that thought we were getting 10, 15, or 20 back on Dr. King Day. And now it's pivoted. It's changed its course. Now it's 0.6. Now the big winners might be Eastern Shore for 3 or 3.1. But again, you can't this is just guidance. This is not gospel. It's not saying you're going to get exactly 0.6 on the south side, but it's trying to suggest this is not a big snow event. Another model, European, rounds it up to an even 1 inch. Maybe we have that potential. 2.2, 3.2. So like I said, these models have purpose, utility, but they're not going to give you clarity 6 days out, 5 days out, 4 days out, even 3 days out. Things can change, and course, obviously, you have to auto-correct the course. But as far as the graph model, less than an inch, maybe 0 for Albemarle, nothing for the Outer Banks, 5 inches there along the eastern shore. So I just wanted to show you how we came about to decide this was probably the best course of action. Expect a trace or two. Now the question is, when's that going to start? Likely to start between 8, which is now about a half hour away, 7:23, about 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., we'll start to see this fill in. Some of us will see some more flakes. Some might immediately go right to sleet. But I will urge you or understand this, that once we switch, we're not going back. If you don't get snow at the beginning, at the onset, you're not going to go back to snow later in the course of this storm. It's going to be getting warmer through the columns, those little tubes. And once that warm air advection arrives into town, then it's lights out, no more snow. The snow feature will disappear pretty quickly once the rain arrives. And the ice accumulation that we talked about is really focused west. I'm concerned about Gloucester. I'm concerned about ice, sleet, and freezing rain in Williamsburg, Yorktown, Sussex, Surrey. Those are the places that are going to have potentially half inch of sleet, maybe a half inch of freezing rain with rain in between. It's going to be windy too, like it was today. And that ice accumulation on the GFS model may not be quite as copious, might not be as heavy, might not be as much, but it's still pretty consistently west of Norfolk and west of Virginia Beach. Lows today, really 21 degrees, felt like 6 this morning, but we've been as low as 21 since 1:11 this afternoon. We just didn't move. I mean, we fell from 38, and that didn't even reflect this. This was maybe a daytime, but 38 was the actual temperature occurring at 12:01 a.m. Our temperature changed now as 7:24. We're still running about 20 degrees colder in Suffolk, 21 in Chesapeake. This is a great time for you to sound off. I'm going to pause here because I want to hear from you. This is a chance for you. If you have a comment, question, or concern, I'll do my best to put your comments on the screen. I got to import your comments, so bear with me. Some of this can be easily imported here, so let me just do this real quick. And now I'll get the newer comments that might still be on the screen. But if you're on this call, let me know. But I will continue on down the road. This is what's interesting. 23 degrees is our current temperature in Portsmouth, but it feels like about 11 in Norfolk, 12 in Hampton right now, and 14 in Suffolk. Those are the current wind chills. Pretty cold, 17 in Currituck. Overnight lows are probably pretty much where we are right now because temperatures are likely to rise from here. They'll rise from here, and then we're going to see some big changes tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. I got a couple of notes here. I hope I maybe have the right person. Let's see, I might not have picked the right slide here. Let me pause this back in here, and let's see if I got the right post. I see Lori Johnson says, waiting for summer. I see that. And I also see Cornell Elliott Sr. says, all the way from Norfolk. Go Hawks. I hear Renee Cox Langston on here. So I do see the comments, but I'm just trying to get them on the screen so everybody can have their voice heard or seen. Let's see if this will come in. Maybe if it doesn't come in, I'm going to have to read them because I can see them on my laptop. All right, so we're talking about our low temperatures. We're pretty much there. It's not going to get much colder. You might drop a degree or two, but as we get closer to 10 or 11 o'clock, once the precipitation starts, we're going to see these numbers rise. But we may dip into the upper teens in some cases. I'm looking specifically at Matthews, Waverly, Cortland, and about low 20s for Moyock and Chesapeake. But the wind chills, they're harsh, right? Take you right through tomorrow. By the end of the day, I expect to be around 44. But the wind chills will still keep us in the 30s for most of the day tomorrow. We'll revisit that here in a moment. But here's my planner. We're going to basically go tonight, snow to an icy mix as temperatures rise. Tomorrow, it's ice to rain. Let me repeat that. Tomorrow, it's ice to rain. So by the time we get 3, 4, 5 in the morning, some people were asking me, how's church going to look like? It's going to be wet for many areas in the south side. And certainly Outer Banks is going to be very wet. So you might have to make that judgment call in the morning. But most, if not all of the ice, for many of us, if it falls at all, should be going down the drain, down the sewer, with the warmer temperatures and the heavy rain that follows, because it will follow. I expect we'll be around 44, more showers here, back to the upper 30s as this will be tapering off later tomorrow night. Again, the winter storm warning runs until precisely 7 o'clock on Sunday. Got a couple of notes. Go Hawks from Cornell. I got to get to work, so I'm checking for when the snow starts. Renee Cox Langston. Renee, it's going to be starting likely between 10, I'd say 8 to 10 for most cases. Again, to say that everybody's going to get snow is also foolhardy because not everybody will. You're telling me that Manio is going to get snow tonight? No. They're on Roanoke Island. So just say, I want to know about me, boss. Everybody lives in a different neighborhood. And that's why I showed you the snow map. So some of us will get some snow, but it's not going to amount to much. I think most people will be okay. But again, if you're not somebody that drives in winter weather well, then it's best you stay home until you feel more comfortable. Snow to ice to rain, that's the expectation tonight. Blustery winds tonight. Heavy precipitation Sunday. Do you remember last Sunday? Sunday was miserable. Do it again tomorrow. Because next Sunday, tomorrow, is going to look a lot like last Sunday. Not as cold, but I don't believe we got above, 41 or 42 most of last Sunday afternoon. And for Norfolk, Virginia Beach, that is going to be repeated, I think, tomorrow. And looking ahead to next week, very cold with sunshine. This is just going to continue. David Marshall, I don't know how your comment still keeps coming under there, but I got to refresh. Hopefully I can get this imported in here, or maybe I'll have to start over. And that might be the best way to go so I can get some of the new comments. Linda Watson says, I guess no snow angels in Norfolk. No, I would definitely leave those that expectation for another day. See how this goes? 100% chance that you're going to get something falling from the sky because we've got about an inch. Some of you will get an inch of rain. Some of you will get a half inch of rain that changes to sleet, and then it changes back to, maybe starts off as a trace of snow, then it's sleet, and then it goes back to all rain. So this is a situation where temperatures are going to be rising through the night, and so the chance of icy mix will decrease as the day wears on tomorrow, and it should be exiting pretty quickly the Outer Banks on Monday morning at 30%. So we've got precipitation chances there on the board. Now a temperature trend looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and change this out, and let's see here. You'll see that 44 is my expectation for tomorrow, 37 on Monday. Do you see the stair step? Tuesday, 31. Wednesday, 30. Thursday, 29. You're like, we're going the wrong direction, Aldrich. I know. I'm just the messenger. I'm just the messenger. I can tell you this, if you're hoping for warmer weather, the 7-day forecast, when I get to it at the end, will not help. It's just going to be more cold air. And for some of you, that's just going to be maybe miserable because you're ready for the warmer weather. I got my comments to populate. Isn't that nice? It took me a while. I just had to close it out. It's kind of like any other computer that you have at your workplace. Your IT person say, well, did you reboot? And I go, no, I forgot to reboot. Reboot. And then it did it. So that's what did it. I got, let's see here, Lori Johnson. Lori Johnson's on here. She says, no snow cream this time. No, for many of you, probably not. But if you're maybe in Williamsburg, you might be, even Exmoor, you might have a couple of hours tonight. And maybe I'll live stream around midnight tonight. I don't know, we'll see. I've done stranger things before. Because I would love to if you imagine if I live streamed at midnight after the 11 o'clock news, some of you will say, I'm getting snow. Somebody will say, I'm getting rain. And somebody will say, I'm getting sleet. And I'll say, you guys can't all be right. And it'll be, yes, you can. That's how the nature of a winter storm is. You could get all those precipitation types, all a bargain price. Comes in one day special. That's how wild and woolly it could be. Tim wants to know about snow in Yorktown. Yeah, I think you've got a good chance to get that 4 or 5 inches potentially. We saw that map a moment ago, and maybe I'll revisit that here before we're done. Let me keep moving. Our temperature is going to get colder, and if you want more cold air, look no further than the upper air pattern. This is the Monday. This is when this is departing. And if you're not familiar with our maps, I'll just circle. This is the timestamp right there. And you can see by the time we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, no wonder you said Thursday is going to be only like 29 for a high. Yeah. And look at that dip. It comes all the way down. This is the upper air pattern that'll push some of that cold air. And there could be some stray flakes, maybe a brief light snow shower. Not a snowstorm. It's a little clipper. It's a little clipper because it clips right out of here by Friday and Saturday. And then it starts to moderate next weekend where temperatures may be back in the mid-30s for highs. Woo-woo, right? I got next Saturday hit 34. So the fun part of what we do on First Morning Live is just to focus on the cold. A lot of times in the winter time, you see when's our next round of it, and clearly there's going to be spokes of energy that brings it down. I mentioned our high temperature today. If I post this by itself online, people will say, boo, that's not true. It was true. It was at 12:01. I had to put the down arrow. But that's how it will be remembered in the almanac. So a year from now, when we go, what was the high temperature on the 24th of January 2026? It was 38, and you'll be none the wiser. But if you look, we're 13 and 11. We've had 11 above normal days. Take this full screen. 11 above normal days, 13 below. 13 below. And it's hard to forget this, but we did have 2 record highs on a Friday and Saturday on that first full week of January. You remember that? Even last Saturday was beautiful, 64. But yes, last Sunday was miserable at 48. I believe that 48 came early, but it was just a cold rain. Cold rain with the warmest day this week last Thursday at 60. Now, if you haven't downloaded the First Warning weather app, I hope you'll do so. It's free. We have multiple sources. I always urge you to have multiple sources for information because our phones tend to do what? They tend to lose power, right? Even if you lose electricity while you're sleeping, your phone loses charge. You're not getting the notifications. That's why having a NOAA radio is a great, there's other ways to do it, but we want to make sure that you're getting notifications during severe weather season, which will crank up typically in the month of March, April, and May. And you can have severe weather any time of the year, but that's usually when we start transitioning out into a new season, namely severe weather season. I got a couple of notes from you. Let's see here. Gigi was wanting to know, I don't know if I answered the question. Gigi wants to know, what about Gloucester? I got you down for about an inch of sleet and freezing rain. Boo, Gloucester. And I got you probably at least 4 or 5 inches of snow. They might get 6, 7, 8 inches of snow the further northwest you go toward Richmond. That's not good. That's a mess. So all those of you who had de-icing equipment and sleds, maybe they'll need it. Maybe you can sell it to them. I'm joking, but we want to make sure that you're safe. And Gloucester, we want to make sure you're safe for sure. Now, airport delays. This is kind of comical. Well, there's no delays, David. What's going on there? Well, that's pretty easy, right? The average airport delays are 0 because there's been so many cancellations. You see that? They don't show anything, 15 minutes or less. Nobody's delayed because they know they're not flying in these destinations that are impacted by the storm. And that impacts Norfolk International, trying to get to New York City, trying to get to Boston, trying to get to Baltimore. You're going to have some delays, probably more like cancellation. So it's not a pretty scene. But let's take a look at this big monster storm. That's how I've seen it promoted on national news programs. The monster storm. The monster storm. I'm like, monster mash, maybe. It's a mash of all different types, precipitation. Okay, so what do you have here? You got snow. You can see the snow right in here in white, and it extends all the way in North Texas right now, into Kentucky, into parts of North Carolina. It's filling in here. That's the snow part. Then you've got freezing rain and sleet in the purple and in the pink areas. And that's a mess right now through Knoxville, East Tennessee. And then it's all rain in New Orleans and messy. So it's like 3 stacked layers, and they're headed where? To Hampton Roads. Are you going to tell me that we're all going to get the same experience out of this? No way, Jose. We're not going to get anything the same. Everybody's going to have something different. So if you're in Duck, you're in Manio, expect a rain event, a cold rain. But if you're in Gloucester, it could be starting off as snow, change to some sleet, go to some rain, and then end as maybe some freezing rain. It could all be messy, and it's not going to be pretty. If we zoom in a little bit tighter here, I thought we could do that. Get the bird's eye view. Looks like the worst spots right now are either in parts of northern Florence, Alabama, Phil Campbell, Alabama, Tupelo, Mississippi. I don't think they handle sleet very well. Those are the icy pellets. You get a lot of that. It's like walking through Epsom salt. And then we move into the Cookeville area. It looks like more like freezing rain. What a mess. Freezing rain maybe north of Knoxville, but more icy pellets right through Hardin Valley, Knoxville, Farragut, and sliding back toward Morristown. Oh, it's a mess. Heading up into parts right around maybe probably around Middlesboro, not far from Sneedville. You're going to be getting some mess. Robbins, Pine Knot to Kentucky, and more snow across eastern Kentucky now beginning to fill in. But I know what all of us want. We want certainty, and weather is not that. Not on a day like today, night like tonight, or a day like tomorrow, because everybody's going to experience a different event. And I want to remind everybody, because we cover such a large area, it's so important to check on your neighbors, all right? I'm always telling people, every day is a gift. Even these bad weather days are gifts, because what's the alternative? Be 6 foot under? No thanks. I'm just saying that it's a good opportunity. You have an opportunity to check on your neighbors. It might be your Richmond neighbors. You might have family, cousins, brothers, sisters in Richmond. Hey, are you okay? I heard the weatherman say you're going to get more of the mess than we are. We might be spared the worst of it. But this is up just saying, if you are still hanging your hat on, we're going to get the fill in the blank, you've got to move past that. We're all past that. But some people are like, well, maybe he's wrong. Maybe we will get X number of inches of snow. That's too lofty, but it's going to mix. And that's what's really going to be a shocker when you wake up tomorrow morning. A lot of this is gone. Here's another look at the today forecast right through Monday the 2nd, which is Groundhog Day. And I thought I'd just kind of play this out in full speed so you can see how quickly this moves in and out. So you got the mix in central North Carolina and Virginia. You got a lot of snow in Pennsylvania, headed to Boston, headed to New York City, and then you got the mix that really changes to rain across much of the Outer Banks, and then it winds up into Portland, Maine, and then it's out to sea. Might be a little clipper system on Thursday. That's what that represents. I don't expect accumulation, just some nuisance flakes. And then the rest of that period of time that takes us to Groundhog Day, Puxatawny Phil Day, Monday the 2nd of February, you can see there's not a whole lot going on. So things will slow down, but we will have battles of the cold air. Remember, cold air is typically dry. How do I know? You know it, because today was really cold, but we didn't get any snow. Well, maybe some flurries, but so far it hasn't been much of a precipitation maker for us. Give it time. I say between 8, 10, 11 o'clock tonight, many of you will start reporting, hey, it's doing something. It's doing its thing, right? Let the storm work its course, and of course, hopefully you have all that you need to work it through. Is there a silver lining in this mess? Yes. It's the fact that we're under a drought, level 2, moderate drought. Virginia Beach, Norfolk, all the brown areas, light brown. And all this rain that we're getting, be it 1 inch, helps. I think we're over 9 inches below normal. For the if you end, I think we ended at what, 6? I covered this in our stream before. I believe we finished 2025. I think it was negative 6.2 inches of rain. We were in a deficit, right? And now that we're in the new month of January, it might be another 2.5 to 3. So it's about 8.5 to 9 inches below normal. So we're under a moderate drought. Not many people are talking about that. But if you're a landscaper, a gardener, if you're a farmer, that might be more important to you as we get closer to the growing season in the next couple of months, 2.5 months or so. That might be more important to you. But they're under a moderate drought for Exmoor, the Eastern Shore, Gloucester. There's Gloucester again. But all these communities need some rain, so let it snow, let it rain, let it do its thing, so the soil can maybe make up or try and catch up and make up for lost time. And we're under a severe drought in Ahoskie and Northampton County. Those are the orange areas I'm looking at over here. These are the areas that could use even more water because their deficits appear to be a little bit higher. If you've got a comment, now would be a great time. David Earl, thank you so much. David says it's already snowing in Williamsburg. So there you go. And he's laughing, or maybe crying. I can't tell. Those emojis are so small. But does that mean that Duck's not going to get snow? Probably not. See, every neighborhood's different. And he's got some snow. So David Earl, thank you for that live report. I love being able to hear that. And I love being able to see what's going on. So Allison, it may have just joined us late. So what are we getting? You name it. So it's the question, are we going to see some snow? Or are we going to get some snow? What are we getting? We're getting the kitchen sink. Allison, we're going to be getting a potpourri of precipitation. All right, getting back to the weather, we are talking about the fact that there's a big concern, dryness, severe drought in the central part of North Carolina, the Tar Heel State, and the Commonwealth, and it's not going to go away overnight because it didn't get there in overnight period. 23 our current temperature at 7:41. It's 22 Chesapeake. This has been the big story for everybody. Whatever's falling from the sky now or will be soon, I think all of us can say we were all cold today, right? We were all needing an extra blanket, a scarf, a sweater, and wearing layers. It's currently 26 in Edenton, 21 in Gloucester, 21 in Surrey, and Smithfield coming in at 23 degrees, and Poquoson 23. It's only 10 in Pittsburgh, 22 in Raleigh. I'm going to keep going. But this is what a map that you're not going to see everywhere. That's the national scene. Do you realize in Lubbock, Texas, it's 11 right now? Oh, that must be the wind chill. No, that's the actual temperature. It's -4 in Minneapolis. It's 5 in Detroit, and currently 23 in Virginia Beach. So are you saying Virginia Beach is warmer than Lubbock, Texas? Yes. And warmer than Oklahoma City? Yes, yes. Oklahoma City, 7. Wichita, 4. I mean, we've got sub-zero dew points tonight. It's insane. This is a big storm. That's why everybody was making a big hubbubaloo about it, right? If we were in the crosshairs, then you would have prepared, I would imagine, accordingly. But when you're on a day 6, day 5 event, you know, because you've been doing it a while, things change, right? Tracks move, models reconsider. They'd have to buffer, recalibrate. So we're not getting much snow. It's the smallest piece of the pie. But the big pie will be water. It'll be rain, beneficial rain. So I'm giving you the silver lining. It'll help the drought situation. Won't solve it, won't cure it, but eventually it'll help. And oh yes, for those who like to really know where it's cold, how about -22 actual temperature up there in Lynn Lake Airport in Canada? They can have it. We love our Canadian neighbors, but that weather, you can keep that up there as long as you want. How about these sub-zero? We got a -6 dew point in Richmond. No wonder we need chapstick. No wonder I need lotion on my knuckles. It's cold. I need those little packets to warm up your hands and the gloves when you're on the chairlift. I used to use that when I used to go skiing as a kid. You would love to have a little chemical reaction, just keep your hands warm. We're in that stage right now. But the dew points this is a good indication. Not only is it winter, but it's a big winter storm where you have sub-zero wind chill with sub-zero dew points at this moment. Very, very dry. Future temperatures are showing the cold air. The blue is like a highway, and the white areas are the Arctic cold blast. It's coming down. Now, it doesn't mean it's a snowstorm, but that carries you right through February 2, which is Groundhog Day, and beyond. That's February 3rd. We're not going to get warmed up here in the next couple of days. In fact, you can see the temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. I mean, it looks like the bullseye is in Philly. It looks like it's in Philly, Harrisonburg, and maybe Lancaster, PA. New Jersey is the center of the cold. It's extremely cold in Hampton Roads, too, and in Tennessee, but there's like about 7 shades of purple there on the east side of the country. Now, if you look at the 8 to 14 day outlook from the same supercomputers, it shows signs of letting up. And this was one of the things I was talking about last week when we were looking at the upper air. I won't go into it tonight, but the sudden stratospheric warming events were seemingly repositioning themselves that we might start to tap into some of this warmer air, and eventually it'll flip. But that's not going to happen on the 7th, and it may not even happen in time for Valentine's Day. We might get another surge of cold air in time for Valentine's Day. Let's wrap things up here, and I'm going to open the floor for more questions. I'll do my best to answer as many of you who have questions. But the Eastern Shore, I mean, you can't get better than 100% chance of confidence, right? That's 100% chance that something falls in Onancock. That's tomorrow. More likely for Onancock, it'll start off as maybe some snow, then it'll change over to some sleet, Then it'll change over to some rain and might exit with some freezing rain. Boo. Bloxham, same thing. About 42, 40 in Saxis. That's what I expect to see. About 44 for Cape Charles, 43 for Exmoor. Just a messy day. If you don't have to be anywhere, and let's face it, I'm missing the biggest lead. Tomorrow is like the AFC and NFC championship game. Everybody's watching football. That's a good thing for me because that means you'll probably be less likely to be on the roads. I'll go to the sports bar. Okay, but if you can stay home and watch the games, stay home so you don't have to be on the bridges and overpasses, which tend to freeze up first. And again, we're focused on ice mainly west of Norfolk. If you missed that, you might have to watch the beginning of this live stream. But we are expecting 43 Exmoor, a lot milder tomorrow. We're in the 50s tomorrow in Manio. That's why Manio, our friends in Wanchese, our friends on Roanoke Island have no real worries about snow, as cold as it is now. Hard to believe 55 sounds balmy compared to where you were today. But 52 Duck, 53 Kill Devil Hills, a rainy period of time from Rodanthe, Hatteras, Ocracoke, 100% chance of rain tomorrow in the mid-60s for Hatteras and Ocracoke. All right, this is what many of you have been waiting for, and I just love to be able to share this with you. I will pause here just to see if I just do a little check here. Did I get some? I got another weather update. Oh, I love it. I love this. I love the weather updates. Deborah Williams, great to see you. By the way, the picture you supply Facebook will show up in the bottom right of this screen. So if you leave a comment, I'll be able to proofread it. I proofread them. But your picture, if you have a picture that you want to show, I'll see it. But Pasquotank County, no snow flurries yet. Okay, so there you go. And if you have a weather report, like I said, I am very inclined, because I'm like that, I might even do a live stream at midnight tonight. That way, we'll have more people letting me know what they've got then, because it will only likely increase, I'm sure, by then. But let me get back to this, and I'll keep previewing some comments while I'm doing this. But this is the futurecast, right? There's 9 o'clock. Some of the snow showers, and that's what they are because it's moving in as snow showers, might be just north of Norfolk. Maybe it's over Newport News by 9 o'clock. Winds are still busy out of the northeast. I expect there'll be about 10 to 25 tonight, gusting to 30. But the snow showers look like they're already here by 9 o'clock, and that's just less than an hour and a half away, about an hour and 15 minutes away from now. But now at 10 o'clock, oh, la, look at that. That looks like snow in Williamsburg. Yeah, it looks like it's getting more intense because the colors are showing more dark blue or purple there. So that's a buy sign for snow. If you're in maybe Gloucester, if you're in Williamsburg or Yorktown at 10 o'clock tonight, that's just a few minutes from now, right? An hour and 13 minutes from now, you may very well see snow develop, but it's not snowing in Elizabeth City at 10. That would be a false expectation to give you. The modeling would suggest it's still cloudy in Elizabeth City at 10. Do you get my point? So everybody's different. To 11 o'clock, we're going to be on TV. WTKR.com is the place to go if you're missing any of this, but you can watch us on the app. You can watch us online, but the snow might be coming down. People are convinced they're going to have all this to play in the morning. But wait, there's more. There's more snow. Oh, there's more mix. Now by midnight tonight, it's sleeting in Ahoskie. It's sleeting in Bertie County. It's sleeting in Northampton, Jackson, North Carolina. It's a mess. You're like, you can have it. Okay, guess what? It's coming here. In Chesapeake, you're done snow at 1 a.m. Well before that, actually. By this account, it's actually sleeting in Chesapeake, right in here, Hickory, at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, that's a different neighborhood than Williamsburg. It's a different neighborhood than Matthews, Gwen's Island. You got more snow. So you have more time to accumulate. But I can only emphasize enough that this is going to be more icy pellets, and in some cases, it's going to make it kind of messy. And if you're on the road, heaven forbid, you're going to get those ding, 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 ding. You're getting all this little translucent, clear, icy pellets hitting the windshield. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes you're like, what is that? Icy pellets. What is that? That's sleet. Same thing. Tomato. Icy pellets, sleet. Interchangeable. And that's what's going to fill in the gaps here by 1 o'clock. That's why I said if I go on at midnight, everybody's going to have a different experience. Duck will say they're getting rain. Elizabeth City said, I got sleet. And then they'll say, I got snow in Norfolk. And I'll say, oh, come on now. That's not possible. It is possible. It's possible. At the same hour, everybody has 3 different types of precipitation. Hence the expression I gave it, the potpourri of precipitation. Now, take it to further, 2 a.m. Oh, it's stopped. It's all sleet in Virginia Beach at 2 a.m. It's all sleet in Norfolk because it's turned to that ugly pink mix there. Williamsburg, you got a little bit more time to accumulate, and Exmoor too, a couple more minutes For Middlesex County, Saluda, Matthews, Gloucester, Yorktown, you still got some snow at 2 in the morning, but how long does that last? 3 o'clock looks like this. 4 o'clock looks like this. I think Williamsburg's done before 4 a.m. Still snowing though in Exmoor, it would appear. And now, Cape Charles, you've switched over before 5 a.m. So this is why I say tomorrow's description, ice to rain. Ice right here to rain, because that's what's going to advance. So we go from more of the mix across Williamsburg at 6. And so I'm trying to figure out, do I go to church in this? Well, you're not going to have a problem, I don't think, going to church anywhere down here because you won't have the problems nearly of what they'll have north. A lot of what will fall on overnight will washed away. But it may very well be a real mess from Gloucester, Williamsburg, Surrey, back towards Sussex. That's where it gets messy. And then the rain spreads in. That's 6:30. That's about 7. Now it's raining hard in Cape Charles. And it's going all down, all that mess, that icy mess and snow going down the sewer. It's like, boo, 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 it's gone. Sorry, easy snow, easy go. Bye-bye. It's going to be quick. It's going to go right out. And so your hopes to play in it, or maybe put your kids out in that element, no thanks. We don't need that. Temperature will have come up quite a bit as we looked at the planner at the top or in the middle of this stream. It's 7:51. I'm looking at Exmoor. I'm looking at Williamsburg. That's the last of the icy mix. It would appear 7 a.m. The sun's up. Look at that. That's heavy rain. The heavy rain. So we got several shades of green and then yellow and then orange. All of that mess is going to be washing down the drain. And the winds are still busy. So as like I said, this looks a lot like last Sunday, right? Cold rain, messy mess. And it's really coming down in buckets at Exmoor at 11 o'clock. So if church ended at 11 or started at 11, I mean, it just depends on what your comfort level is. It's really going to come down to that. I'm sure that there'll be some who have backup plans and Zooms ready to go if they need to, but the icy mess looks like it's still in Richmond at 11 o'clock, but it is rain in Williamsburg at that hour. And then it really starts to pick up maybe over the ocean, moves out to sea, and there'll come more showers for the afternoon. So when many folks are enjoying NFL Sunday afternoon by 2 o'clock, we got some showers and maybe some scattered showers at 4, but the mix still holding on around Richmond, maybe points northward on 995, and then the mix comes back. This is why Gloucester, Yorktown, Williamsburg have some concerns. But eventually, I think when we hit 9 o'clock tomorrow night, there's the last push of heavy rain, mixing in with a few icy pellets, coming down across parts of maybe the Isle of Wight, and also maybe back toward into Suffolk. Suffolk could have a little bit of a mixer of pink, but that also washes down the drain, and this is the last push, 10 o'clock. Technically, the winter storm warning ends at 7 p.m. tomorrow. This takes you through 10, and it's still raining hard. Down toward Duck, Elizabeth City, down toward Manio, and down toward Wanchese. So Rodanthe will be still dealing with rain, and then it looks like it's all done by 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday, but it still lingers across the Outer Banks toward 5 a.m. on Monday. Does that help? I hope it does, because there's obviously a lot of material to unpack there. Sunday morning, we're in the 20s. We're about 23 now. We're going to be rising. Temperatures about 22 Hampton, and we've already covered that. This is pretty much almost a nowcast, because temperatures will climb once the precipitation gets in here. Our temperatures will begin to rise. But tomorrow I expect 44 south side, 43 Peninsula, about 48 for North Carolina, but it's going to be a very changeable day. Notice it's a lot colder in some communities, like really where you separate the 40s from the 30s. Everybody to the west over here, cold, right? And you got 50s over here. So there's a big difference from our neighborhoods just from the highs tomorrow, and it's important that you be prepared if you're having to travel or you know somebody who absolutely has to travel. If you have to be somewhere to take care of somebody, just be extra careful on the roads, but it will be obviously a more bigger of a concern if you're west of, say, Smithfield or west of Norfolk. Now here's your 7-day forecast. My WTKR 7-day forecast is 37 on Monday, sunny, very cold on Tuesday. We start off at 15, high of 31. I don't think we get above freezing for multiple days. I mean, this is going to be marginally close to the freezing mark, right? But if we don't hit freezing, we're below freezing this day, finally come up for air on Saturday. That's tough. Some of you are like, that's going to put a real dent in my heating costs. And I'm not going to disagree with you. that will put a big dent on a lot of heating costs, and so it's good to have not only an extra blanket on the bed, but maybe an extra log on the fire. Make sure you have ways to stay heated, and that's why it's so important to check on your neighbors. It doesn't matter if they have to be elderly or very young. Check on all of them, and check on each other. That's what we do, right? That's what neighborhoods are all about. So that's my public service announcement for the night, but I just wanted to show you this, and if we could go back to the radar. I know some of you are like, I just want to see the radar. Okay, here it is. This is where the snow is. These are scattered snow showers north of Emporia, and it's trying to work its way into the picture right now. A couple other notes from you. Let's see, Haley has a very good comment. Haley says, hello. After the rain comes through Sunday night, would it refreeze? Sunday night, I have us down about 33 for Norfolk, Virginia Beach, but it could marginally be close to the upper 20s. So yeah, that's going to be an issue maybe even as we head into your Monday night, because that's when we're down about 15. I suspect we'll have a handle on most of this will have gone down the drain by then, but it's never too early to prepare for that. That's a very good point. Let's see here. Lori Johnson also mentioning the other thing that comes up in conversation when it gets this cold. Cabinet doors open under the sink. Yeah, there's an easy thing to do. It really doesn't take much just to open up the cabinetry under your kitchen sink and maybe in the bathrooms just to let the circulation of air open up. And anytime you're in the teens, we'll be doing that, I'm sure, this week because I got a couple of nights in the teens around 20, even when it's in the low 20s, depending on how old a house is or how it's built. Some people feel more comfortable dripping the faucets when they're in the low 20s or in the teens. Certainly single digits. But of course, if you go to places like Minneapolis or Rochester, New York, Syracuse, they're used to that. Some of those homes are used to that. They're not so quick to drip faucets when the temperature's in the 20s. It's got to be really cold for them to want to do that. So it's really a personal preference, and you can always Google it to find out what the homeowners or the builders associations of your neighborhoods would recommend, because I can't say it's the same for everybody. Everybody has a different situation, whether they're in an apartment or if they're in a standalone house. Elizabeth wants to know about Portsmouth. Hi there, Elizabeth. Great to see you. She's got the right idea. See, kudos to Elizabeth, because I got the beautiful face here. See, isn't that awesome? I love it. Thank you, Elizabeth. What about Portsmouth? Portsmouth is going to likely get maybe in a trace to as much as an inch, maybe 2. I think 2 is a bit much. I think it's just, we've been seeing in the data a gradual decrease in snowfall and in overall precipitation. Like I said, yesterday it looked like this was a solid 1.5 inch liquid storm, water equivalent storm. Now instead of 1.5 inches, it's trending closer to 1 inch. So that's about a 32% drop in output. And if you have a 32% drop in output, that means you're going to get less snow, less ice, less rain, all of it. So divvy it up anyway. I think Portsmouth, you're going to get maybe a few snow showers tonight, and then it's going to quickly change over to sleet, and then it'll quickly change over to rain. And my timeline for this is roughly in the neighborhood that we'll probably be changing over to probably some icy pellets as early as 10 o'clock tonight. I know that's not very long, so it doesn't stay as snow very long. Or as early as or as late as 3 a.m. Sunday, as late as 3 a.m. for Portsmouth. So you're looking at some icy pellets, maybe about 1/10 of an inch of, or up to 2/10 of an inch of icy pellets. That's not going to kill the power. Freezing rain is a totally different animal, where it will sag on branches if you were dealing with 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And right now, I think we're right on that edge where it's probably going to be Gloucester and Williamsburg, Yorktown. You'll probably get a 1/2 inch of sleet and later a 1/2 inch of freezing rain, potentially. That could be problematic for power. But we're still looking at about 0.65 to 0.85 inches of rain most of the day tomorrow. You wake up tomorrow, in most cases, it's coming down in buckets. So great question, Elizabeth. I don't want to rehash what I've already covered, and hopefully if you're just joining us on the live stream or online, that you'll be able to watch it at the beginning. You'll find it on Facebook and our YouTube channels as well. A couple other comments I've got time for. Who do I have on here? I got Kim Thompson-Jones. She's a sweetheart. She's always watching. Snow, sleet, rain. We got probably all of it. I don't know if that's a report or what she's hoping for, but there you go. And I think she had the same question I think we just answered about the faucets. So hopefully that helps. Always drip the faucets if it helps you sleep better at night. And I know what you're thinking. How can I sleep better at night if I hear drip, drip, drip? Well, close the bathroom door, close the door so you don't have to put in some earplugs. But yeah, if it helps you sleep at night, if it gives you some comfort, you're not going to hurt too much by having them drip. Jessica Stevens wanted to know about Norfolk. Yeah, I think we covered Norfolk. Norfolk is really trace to 1 inch, maybe 2. I think the 2 is kind of the outlier as far as snowfall, because it's going to quickly change over to sleet. And I showed you that NAM model, it has 0 snow, or maybe 0.1. And you're not going to get much snow. It's going to go probably right to sleet. Not to sleep, but right to sleet. And we take that full screen. You can see right here, what I'm looking at is the mix, right? You got a little bit of the pink mix. So that's going to fill in here. This is the snow, and these are widely scattered snow showers, and we're approaching 8 o'clock here. It is 8 o'clock. So that gives you an idea that by the time we hit 9, 10 o'clock, a lot of us are going to say, it's snowing. It's not Snowmageddon, and it's really not Ice-mageddon, but if you live in these areas west of Norfolk where we looked at the icing, really out here, this might be the bigger concern. And so we can take care of our neighbors. If we're spared the worst of the storm, we're not going to spike the football. No, we're going to find out how can we help our neighbors that live over here in the Richmond area or the Emporia area or Wakefield. It's just going to depend on where people lose power, where they have some disruptions. More likely going to be west of Norfolk and west of Suffolk, really, the way things are shaping up. So just a reminder, here's the 7-day forecast. Rain and inland ice, that's tomorrow, because we're going to basically be snow to an icy mix tonight. And tomorrow we're going to go from ice to rain in the Norfolk area tomorrow. High of 44, and then it's showers exit early on Monday, and then just nothing but sunshine and cold on Tuesday. So we're going to have like 4 days in a row where we struggle to get above freezing. That'll be a real interesting mess. It's kind of like when you go underwater and hold your breath. How many days can we be below freezing? It's going to be a multiple period of time, the way I see it. And I saw from those climate prediction maps, the 6 to 10, 8 to 14, that we're going to be centered around the below normal temperature. So it's very reasonable to think that this is where we're headed. I hope everybody's ready for that, because today was pretty taxing, right? If you were out in the cold today, you know it was pretty brutal. It was like, welcome to the Arctic, because we were here. We felt it tonight during the course of today. It felt like 6 when it was really 21 at 8 o'clock this morning. A couple of other comments. Let's see here. I got Haley. I got Rich. I got another weather report. Love it. Rich, thank you for that. Newport News is snowing a little. It's just a little tease, right? Now, that would be described as a trace. Just a little, right? Just a little. And if you didn't get another flake, which you probably will because you're in Newport News, you're further north of Norfolk, but if you didn't get much more than that, just keep your expectations low. Keep the sled in the garage, because you're going to suddenly see that you don't want to be out in this cold with the wind chills, but you also are going to have that rain wash it down the drain. I got another note from Amy. She likes my rhymes, I guess. I'm guessing, or something else I might have said. I say a lot of things during these 20, 30, 40-minute these live streams, but I'm glad to have Amy here. We just talked about Newport News. Thank you very much. Rhonda was wanting to know about that. I think you probably have a better chance of seeing some snow there. Let me see if I can come back here. Let's see if I go back. Somebody was asking about the snow. I'll see if I can reload that map, because that's probably what everybody, it's like throwing red meat to the lion's den. Everybody wants to know, what about the snow? And then when the snow doesn't deliver, you get 99% of what you got was rain. How are you going to sled on the rain? How are you going to sled on the rain? Think about that. When you wake up tomorrow morning, ask your spouse, are we going to sled on the rain this morning? Maybe we should just go to church or watch a Zoom. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's people bought sleds. They bought it. They're flying off the shelves this week, along with the de-icing. That was the big issue there, too. Let me see if I can bring this back up. And I'll go ahead and pop this back on. Not going to rehash it all, but you got the sense of the 7-day and how much colder it's going to be next week. I think the flakes we get on Thursday will be just some nuisance flakes at best. I mentioned the winter storm warning. It expires technically at 7 p.m. Sunday. That comes by way of the National Weather Service. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead a few maps here. Right now, as of 8 o'clock, it feels like 13. So who wants to sled? Show of hands, who wants to sled when the snow comes in and when it feels like 13? Nobody? No, I don't either. And again, this is all beginning to fill in. We talked about this. And the storm is still really spreading across Tennessee at this hour. So this is the canary in the coal mine. What they have is headed our direction. That's what's the concern. So what they have coming our way in the coming hours, just know that whether you got freezing rain or sleet, you got freezing rain, rains that freeze on contact, or maybe some icy pellets, it's a mess. That's what we covered at the top, and now the snow is beginning to show signs of developing. If you're a night owl, stay up late. I'm going to do the 11 o'clock news, but I may very well do another stream tonight. It's just kind of the mood I'm in. Get some food in me. I'll probably do some. We'll see. But I'm most interested in keeping you safe. That's why I do this. But this was the map. Somebody was like, what about Newport News? 2 to 4, if you're lucky. And again, my concern, I've told this story before, I'll tell you again, I had somebody get mad at me when I worked in Knoxville. When I took a call and they wanted to chew me out. He says, I got a bone to pick with you, Aldrich. I said, okay, what did I do? He said, you said we were going to get 2 to 4 inches of snow. Well, there's 2 to 4. And he said, I only got 3. And I thought he was joking. I said, you got to be kidding me. Are you serious? I thought he was like, it was a roundabout way to compliment me because he got 3 inches of snow and we were forecasting 2 to 4. No. He saw 2 to 4. He took the highest number, he put it in his pocket. He was expecting 4. You see what I'm saying? You can't do that. It could be 2. It could be equally 3. It could be 4. It could be anywhere in that range. So that's the expectation. These are forecasts. These are not certainties. We do the best that we can, but just know that not everybody interprets information the same way. If you were to go to a car dealership, similarly, if you go to a car dealership and they say, hey, I'll give you $2,000 to $4,000 for your trade-in, what did you hear? I heard I'm getting $4,000 for my trade-in. See what you did? You took the highest number. You did it. You put the $4,000 in your pocket. So when he gives you $3,000, you're like, oh, wait a minute, you're cheating me. No, he felt cheated because he didn't get 2 to 4. He heard 4, he got 3. See what I mean? Weather communication is a whole nother animal. I can't go into all that, but this is really what you can expect. Trace to 2. Take the trace, then it's a win. If you get a ½ inch, it's a win. If you get an inch, okay, consider yourself lucky. I think that 2 is probably the highest we'll see around Norfolk International. And as I mentioned earlier in the stream, the biggest snow we've had so far this year was the 8th of December, and we picked up 0.8 inches of snow. Really what we should be focusing on as a community, as a neighborhood, is our neighbors to the west, because the icy accumulation is coming our way, and then eventually it's all going to wash down the drain, because it's going to be a soggy day on Sunday. Just want to say thank you for your time. Be on the lookout for maybe another alert. I'll do another stream if I have it in me. But I'm certainly going to be on the team coverage with forecaster Derek Yetter tonight at 11 o'clock, and I appreciate your time. Just remember, it doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or whether it's serious. I got a little image I'll leave with you that will make you long for warmer days in Hampton Roads and the Outer Banks. Just remember, every day is a gift. Doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or serious. Just make the most of it in your neighborhood. We'll see you here later. Take care.